mates? Welcome to FOXSOUL's Black Report. Happy Monday. It is November, the day before the midterms. I'm Courtney Hicks.
And I'm Nicordelai Corte. This election eve, each day we are honored to stand behind this desk to take you on a journey across Black America, and no more important day to do that than election eve.
I'm telling you, bringing you our news, our views, and our voice. So let's get right to it. As we start with an update to a story we've been keeping a close eye on for you, as officials have finally approved the city of Jackson's request for $35.6 million in federal aid. Now, the funds will come from the state's infrastructure grant program and will help complete 7 water and sewer projects. The approved grant will be matched dollar for dollar, meaning that a total of $71 million will now be used to upgrade the water system there in Jackson.
Meanwhile, just ahead of tomorrow's election, House Majority Whip James Clyburn says the U.S. is drawing a comparison to Germany in the 1930s. Clyburn is the 3rd highest ranking Democrat in the U.S. House of Representatives, proudly representing South Carolina. Now, he made these comments on Fox News Sunday with Shannon Bream after making similar statements when referring to the attack on Paul Pelosi, the husband of U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Clyburn says he taught history, and that's how he knows the country is on the same track of being Germany in the 1930s. Clyburn did not give exact details about the comparisons.
A new poll from the nonprofit Knight Foundation finds that many Black Americans worry that disinformation will influence midterm voting decisions. Now, the results show that 6 in 10 Americans have this concern surrounding voter disinformation. Now, despite the research, a majority of Democrats, Republicans, and independents surveyed say they do not believe they can or will be fooled by disinformation.
And speaking of not being fooled, the NAACP and several other voting organizations are suing Pennsylvania election officials. This last-minute effort for the groups are to get state officials in Pennsylvania to accept mail-in ballots that are received on time, but for whatever reason aren't properly dated. Now, the lawsuit comes after the state Supreme Court ordered counties in the battleground state to stop counting mail-in ballots that did not have a date on the outer envelope. Now, a decision that could have a nationwide impact on tomorrow's election.
And staying with the NAACP for a moment, President Derek Johnson said he hopes Georgia turns, quote, black on Tuesday during a tour of Atlanta area churches on the final Sunday before Election Day. Senator Raphael Warnock is locked in a tight race with former football star Herschel Walker, while Democratic nominee for governor Stacey Abrams is hoping for an upset against incumbent Brian Kemp, who has had a healthy lead in those polls. Now, the NAACP has spent nearly $2 million on radio advertisements in 9 key battleground states, as well as distributing at least $6.5 million to 55 grassroots partners and local organizations in 18 states.
And speaking of Georgia, Herschel Walker is he's making headlines today ahead of the election. As many say, he's taking endorsements from just about anyone. And the latest is from none other than, that's right, you guessed it, Ye, formerly known as Kanye West. Walker is in a neck-to-neck race against Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock. Warnock, who isn't too pleased by Walker's new endorsement, took to the streets over the weekend to share his views on his opponent's latest tactic.
He recently received an endorsement from someone who spews awful anti-Semitic words and who said that slavery is a choice. Well, my mama told me that birds of a feather flock together. You know who he is based on the company that he keeps. Do you want somebody who's going to divide us or somebody who's going to bring us together? That's the work that I'm committed to doing.
Herschel Walker has since rejected Warnock's criticism and says he's portrayed himself as the more honest candidate.
And staying in Atlanta now, where in a surprise move, former Congressman and Democrat Kwanzaa Hall announced his endorsement for 2 Republican midterm candidates. Hall announced his endorsement of Republican nominees Governor Brian Kemp for re-election and Burt Jones in his race to be the next lieutenant governor on Friday, saying, quote, Over the last 4 years, I've witnessed Governor Kemp make tough decisions, ones that weren't always popular at the time, in unprecedented circumstances. While we don't agree on every issue, it's abundantly clear that Brian Kemp is a man of character, a strong leader, and someone who Georgians can trust to put them and their interests first. Hall, you may remember, served on the Atlanta City Council for 3 terms before attempting to run for mayor in 2017, eventually losing to Keisha Lance Bottoms. He was elected to fill the remainder of the late Congressman John Lewis's term after he passed and then served that position for 1 month.
New concerns coming from Twitter users as new layoffs have impacted the platform's election information team. Now, this is critical as many political experts and officials say Twitter's new verification process is a threat to honest information and could mislead voters into making decisions based on false information. As you may remember, Twitter's new verification process would allow users to pay a monthly rate of $8 for a blue check mark. Now, some candidates are sounding the alarm, saying there is nothing stopping someone from purchasing a blue check mark, then changing their bio to make users think that they're an expert, all in an attempt to mislead the public.
All right, my goodness. And we want to make sure you're up to date on all things concerning Election Day tomorrow. Make sure you tune in to Fox Soul's Black Report for our special election night coverage starting at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. We will have the news and information you need along with a panel of special guests to keep you informed. We will also have the latest results and outcomes from all across the nation. Check foxsoul.tv for details. And to Italy now, where that country allowed a humanitarian rescue ship carrying 179 migrants to enter a Sicilian port and begin disembarking minors early Sunday while refusing to respond to requests for a safe harbor from 3 other ships carrying 900 more people in nearby waters. At least 5 migrant deaths have been reported since Friday in a tiny island that is Italy's southernmost point and often a first target destination for those fleeing North Africa. Italy's new far-right-led government has closed its ports to rescue ships run by non-governmental groups and insists that the countries whose flags the ships fly must take the migrants in. Now, Italy's only black lawmaker met the Humanity One ship at the port in Italy and decried that government's closure of ports to NGO ships as, quote, shame.
Also overseas in Haiti, a powerful gang leader says he's lifting a blockade at a key fuel terminal that's left Haiti's capital in distress for nearly 2 months. Now, it remains unclear still as to who fully controls the terminal, as efforts have been made to place sanctions on the owner for preventing consumers from using the oil. Now, the initial blockade cut off access to about 10 million gallons of diesel and other gasoline. The gang leader says now truck drivers and residents can now come to the fuel terminal without any fear. No word as to why access to the terminal was originally cut.
And it's a cause for celebration in Kenya as the Kenyan runners have swept the men's and women's race in their debut marathon. The race took place over the weekend in New York. Evans Shebe and Sharon Lokiti dominated the competition. The win for Evans comes after his win earlier in the Boston Marathon. Both racers say they are very proud to keep Kenya on the map when it comes to competitive sports. So big ups for them. Kenya can run. Yeah. Jamaica can run. Kenya, I think it's more like those long distance runs I often see, you know, in the Olympics, and they run and they run and they run and they have these beautiful long legs and those long strides. So no wonder they swept that marathon. Yeah.
I mean, and it's also a marathon right now to the polls.
Yes.
You know, we've covered a lot of election news. I'm really looking forward to our Fox Soul Soul coverage tomorrow, but so much happening in Georgia, so much happening in Pennsylvania, so much happening across the country. Fears around misinformation and disinformation campaigns. You know, the Twitter saga continues. Yes. You know, you would think that this was sort of a novel.
A circus. It really is.
With
like a
lots
circus.
of plot twists.
And lots of players.
Yes.
I love how the NAACP, I don't know if it's a cause for concern, but they've definitely put their money where their mouth is, and they're spending extra money to get the awareness out, to make sure voters, black voters in particular, are aware of all of the issues and how we just need to show up and make our voices be heard. So it is a cause for concern. There's been a lot of talk about if we're actually going to show up to these polls, and how much the black vote really could turn the tide with some of these midterm elections from across the country. It's pivotal.
Yeah, I mean, there's a video that's been going viral featuring Gary Chambers, who's running for U.S. Senate in Louisiana, and he was calling attention to, you know, how many black voters in Louisiana still haven't cast their ballot, and was really outlining county by county how many black voters sitting on the sidelines could possibly be the margin of victory, at least send Senator Kennedy into a runoff in that Senate election. And so many races where the margins are just so close, and you know, the stakes could not be higher, and that's why everybody should go to iwillvote.com to get all the information you need to do what you need to do.
All the details. All right, still ahead on Fox Soul's Black Report, a video of hate towards a black student is making rounds online. We'll tell you all about it.
We'll tell you what happened to the student as a result and what led to the racist encounter when we come back. You're watching Fox Soul's Black Report.